The wind howled across the desolate plains of New Mexico, carrying the scent of dust, blood, and old sorrow. Evening had fallen, painting the sky in bruised shades of orange and crimson. Coyotes cried from afar, their voices echoing through the canyons like forgotten prayers. It was in that dying light that a man rode, tall, broad-shouldered, and carved from the same hard stone as the land itself. His name was Elias Boone, known across the territories as the Giant Rancher. He wasn't called that just for his size, though few men stood eye to eye with him, but for the size of his heart, a thing buried deep beneath layers of scars and silence. Elias had seen too much of life's cruelty, war, famine, and betrayal, and learned to keep his mercy locked behind iron walls. But that evening, fate had different plans. He spotted the wreck first, an overturned wagon, splintered like bone beneath a twisted mesquite tree. The horses were gone, tracks scattering toward the horizon. Smoke rose from the wreckage, faint but real. Elias slowed his horse, the old stallion snorting at the scent of blood. He dismounted, boots crunching the dry earth, hand resting on the worn grip of his colt. The silence felt wrong, too still, too expectant. Then he heard it. A whimper. Faint, trembling. Human. He moved closer, his shadow long and heavy across the ground. Beneath a broken wheel, he found her, a Chinese woman, blood matting her hair, her hands trembling as she clutched a small child to her chest. Two more little ones huddled beside her, dust-covered, eyes wide with fear. The woman's breath came in ragged gasps, her body shielding the children even as her strength failed. Elias knelt, his voice low and steady. "Ma'am, you hear me?" She flinched, holding her babies tighter. Her eyes, dark as night, flicked open, filled with terror and confusion. Elias saw the bullet hole in the side of the wagon. Bandits, no doubt the Red Valley Gang, had hit them. He'd heard rumors they were targeting immigrant settlers moving through the territory. His jaw tightened. He hated men who preyed on the weak. "You're safe now," he said, though he knew the words sounded hollow in this godforsaken land. The woman didn't understand his language fully, but something in his tone reached her. She whispered something back, soft, broken English, "Please, help my children." Elias looked down at the three little ones, 2 boys and a girl, none older than 10. Their faces were smudged with dirt, their clothes torn. One boy's arm hung limp, likely broken. The girl's eyes were glassy with fever. Elias didn't hesitate. He took off his duster coat and wrapped it around them. "You're going with me," he said, his deep voice final, like the voice of the law itself. The woman blinked, not sure if she'd heard him right. But when he lifted her gently in his arms, her resistance melted into trust born from pure desperation. The ride back to the Boone Ranch was slow and cruel. The night air turned cold, and Elias kept glancing down at the woman. Her head rested against his chest, her skin pale beneath the starlight. "Don't die on me, miss," he muttered. "Your kids need you." By the time he reached his ranch, a lonely spread of land hemmed by mountains and whispering cottonwoods, the children were half asleep, clinging to his shirt. He carried them inside one by one, laid them near the fireplace, and lit a fire. The warmth filled the cabin, chasing away the ghostly chill. Elias' housekeeper, old Martha, gasped when she saw them. "Good Lord, Eli, what happened?" "Wagon ambush," he said curtly. "She's hurt bad." "Kids too." Martha didn't waste another second. She fetched warm water, bandages, and broth. Elias helped as best he could, cleaning wounds with the care of a man who'd once done the same on battlefields. The woman stirred now and then, whispering in Chinese, the sound delicate as a prayer. When he met her gaze again, she mouthed her name, Lien. It meant, graceful willow, though Elias didn't know that yet. He only nodded. "Lien," he repeated, rough and soft all at once. Hours passed. The fire crackled. The children slept close to their mother, and Lien drifted in and out of consciousness. Elias sat nearby, arms crossed, watching over them. The more he looked, the more anger burned in his gut, not at them, but at the men who did this. He'd seen evil wear many faces, but cowardice like this, gunning down a woman and her babies, stirred something he hadn't felt in years. The next morning, he saddled up again. "Stay with them, Martha," he said. "I'll be back before sundown." When he returned, blood stained his gloves. He didn't speak of what happened, but everyone in Red Valley knew the giant rancher had ridden out with fire in his heart and come back silent, and the Red Valley gang was gone for good. Days turned to weeks. The woman, Lien, began to heal. She spoke little English, but every day she tried to learn a word or two from Martha and Elias. The children followed Elias around the ranch, helping with chores, feeding chickens, laughing again, sounds that had long been missing from the Boone ranch. Elias didn't realize how much he'd missed laughter until he heard it in their voices. One evening, as the sun set in streaks of gold, Lien walked outside, still weak but standing on her own. Elias was fixing a fence, sleeves rolled up, sweat glistening on his skin. She watched quietly before stepping closer. "You, save us," she said slowly, her accent thick. "Why?" Elias paused, hammer in hand. "Because no one else would," he said simply. She smiled faintly. "You big man, but heart, bigger." Elias looked away, his throat tight. He wasn't used to kindness, not anymore. The war had taken that out of him. But Lien's words did something. They dug beneath his armor and found a spark of warmth buried deep. Over time, she began helping around the ranch, cooking simple meals, teaching her children to tend the animals. They brought a kind of peace he'd thought he'd never feel again. Still, the town didn't see it that way. Whispers spread in the saloon and at the general store. "Boone's taken in a Chinese woman," men muttered, their tone sharp with prejudice. "Ain't right. Not here." Elias didn't care. He'd buried his wife years ago and had no interest in gossip. But when one of the local ranch hands made a filthy remark near the general store, Elias answered with his fists. By the time he walked away, the man was on the ground with a broken jaw, and the town knew better than to speak Lien's name with disrespect again. Lien saw the bruises later that evening. She said nothing, only placed a gentle hand on his arm. "You protect," she whispered. "I pray for you." It was the first time in years anyone had said a prayer for Elias Boone. That night, as the children slept near the fire and Lien hummed an old song in her native tongue, Elias sat on the porch and looked out at the stars. For the first time in a long while, the world didn't feel empty. The next morning, when Lien brought him tea, something new, something foreign but comforting, Elias looked at her and said quietly, "You and your kids, you don't owe me a thing. But you're safe here. Long as I breathe." She smiled, her eyes glistening with gratitude. "You good men," she said. He shook his head. "Just a man who's tired of seeing the world break good people." But destiny wasn't done testing them. In the distance, dust rose once more, riders, maybe bounty hunters, maybe worse. Lien's past wasn't as simple as Elias thought. There were reasons she'd fled west, reasons that would soon come knocking on the Boone Ranch gates. As the wind picked up and thunder rumbled far off, Elias stepped onto the porch, his rifle in hand, eyes hard as the mountains. The sun dipped behind the horizon, turning the sky blood-red. He muttered the same words he'd said that first night, words that sealed both their fates. "You're going with me," he said softly, almost like a vow. Because in that wild, untamed West, sometimes salvation came not from angels, but from men who refused to walk away.